All right, boys, we are going to be reacting to Because of You from Honkai Impact. Okay. You know what? Let me turn off system sounds. I'm a little bit concerned that that's going to be annoying as hell. Anyway, we're going to be reacting to Honkai Impact 3rd Because of You, which is an 8-minute long cinematic, and this was recommended to me from my comment section of, I think, the first reaction video that I did, up on screen right here. Considering how much you appreciate and pay attention to the animation, direction, and music, I would love for you to give a watch to Because of You from Honkai Impact 3rd, made by Hoyoverse, preferably the Japanese dub. So we are going to be watching the Japanese dub, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect going into it. I know close to nothing about Honkai Impact 3rd, other than the Welt from that universe is the same one that we see in Honkai Star Rail. That's not really a big spoiler. That's something that they kind of people know that from afterthoughts and I guess some story links as well. But anyway, yeah, this is over a year old. I have not seen this before. I have not even subscribed to the Honkai Impact 3rd YouTube channel, so this is the first time I'm seeing this. We're just gonna get into it and see what we can dissect about it. Okay, since that's what you guys like, that's what we're gonna do. That comment had the most upvotes out of any other comment on my channel so far, so I take it this is something that people are really excited for. If it'll actually load, I think that would be great. Should I just refresh the page? Add jump scare? Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Story without any significance. That's a strange way to open it up, but okay. Futureless people. Ooh. Was that 2D? Was that... No, that's 3D compositing with 2D. That is so cool. That is so cool already. If you don't know... Oh, I skipped too far ahead. I just spoiled myself a few visuals. Shit. Okay, this is 2D and 3D mixed. But the main thing that caught my attention was that. That is really cool. If you, oh my god, we're already getting into a yap session, bro, just because of this. Okay, so very clearly we have, at least if this isn't a 3D object imported and post-processed, it most definitely is a 3D object that they traced over in 2D. But instead of doing that, they could just slap the 3D object into the compositing, and then they can just either have an outline effect or have that coded into the shading of the object itself. You never know, but you know, every studio has their own pipeline and their own way that they do things. The way I recognize this is that is a 3D object processed in, and they have done 2D line art over it, which is really cool. Like, just like the way it warps here, and then this specifically, that seamless blend of 3D and 2D was so cool to me. I had to say something about it. Also, worth noting, there's actually a compositing mistake here, because you can see, man, okay, if you can zoom in just a little bit, this is really cool to see, okay? I'm not knocking at them at all for this. This is really cool to see from a big studio. Is if you zoom in really close, right? You see how there's that line? There's a line under the TV. Under there. Like somewhere around here. You see like there's this little dot right here closest to my finger. And then on the other side of it, there's this line that kind of goes up like this. That's like, it's not supposed to be there. Pretty sure that's not supposed to be there. But, you know. Just wanted to point that out. It's just a tiny little mistake, but I love to see things like that, because it tells me, like, it just shows how human it is. Also, sorry that the screen is, you know, flickering. I'm trying to fix a few things. Okay. Anyway. Wow. Wow, okay. That is 3D. That is a 3D character. Yeah, that's like, you see how smooth that is? That's like 60 FPS. That's absolutely. Absolutely 3D. 2D VFX. Oh! Wow, she is gorgeous. I don't know who that is, but she's gorgeous. This right here. That is absolutely, like, I've had to do things like this in After Effects. It's really cool the way that they did this, the way that they approached it, because there's obviously, like, they're using line embossing and all that stuff, right? Like edge location and all that stuff to, like, get the lines extracted, and then they'll kind of, like, emboss it a little bit, glow it, put some probably vertical, like, angular blur on it, and then have it sort of flicker and stutter between frames. Really cool. Really, really, really cool. Wow. Okay. All right. This entire, like, just the art of this, impressive. I actually love it. I love the mix of 3D and 2D, man. I would actually love to see an anime that's styled like this. Which, I mean, there are already, like, if you've seen Trigun Stampede, it sort of mixes 3D and 2D together, and it does it masterfully. I think it was Studio Orange that handled that. Beautiful work. Wow. Yeah, the people who work on this, man. Those flares, I'm sorry, to get that right in composition, in order to get that correct, that's hard. Unless they already figured that out in, like, the storyboarding phase, when they were like, how do we want the flares to look? And then they have an artist, like, kind of like just slap different flares on and see which one works well. But generally, like, doing this in post-processing alone is something that, like, takes a long time to try to, like, guess at, you know? Because you might think that one is gonna look great, and then when you actually get it in there and you watch it in sequence, or you pause at that moment, it's like, doesn't really look all that good. But this one is, I mean, it's perfectly in tune with everything that's going on in frame. And it even carries over, like, down into the very bottom of the frame, which is something that, like, I think with this, they actually do take into consideration that this is going to be watched on YouTube. When you have a flare that's that bright, but you also have the YouTube player that's, like, at the bottom, sort of muting it out, it really helps to not, like, flashbang the people watching. And that is genuinely, if you don't think that that's something that studios take into consideration, it truly is. They take into consideration where do captions go, where does the video player controls go, maybe the top of the video player, if there is one, like what space do we have to work with to show all of the cool shit versus everything else. So yeah, those are things that are actually considered very, very, very frequently. Oh my god. Wow, that is amazing. That right there, that is one singular frame that they most likely painted and did some post-processing on, because there is no way in hell that we go from that level of detail to this just because they decided to do that for the cinematic. I'm almost absolutely certain that they painted this frame and the ones before it, each frame where there was, like, a high level of detail. Oh, okay, well, there's not too much of a high level of detail. They can probably actually get away with most of, like, the 3D motion, just having motion blur and hiding all of those lack of detail, and then, like, once you get right here, painted frame. Or at least they painted over it to highlight it more. But really cool. That is an animation technique to sort of bring more light into the frame. I've talked about dirtying up the frame, but also when you're bringing in something that sort of breaks out of the composition, because everything in here would have been fairly dark and sort of, like, muted out by atmospheric fog and all that, but this right here, really like brings into focus that disc is important, and it wants your eyes to look at that as the last frame. Really cool. 2D effects, okay. This is actually something that I had to do with a project that I worked on in the past, an animation project with a small studio. Not so small though, they had some pretty big projects. Hyperlight Breaker had this one animated trailer that had some 3D compositing stuff, and I helped out a little bit with that. And this is like one of the coolest things is seeing when you're doing camera work in 3D compositing. You're like, oh man, okay, so they want the camera to like move like this, and you'll probably have a 2D animation director like sort of, you know, either standing next to you or like on call with you, and they're like, hey, we kind of want this to like move this way, and we have like a little storyboard to show you what the motion of the camera is, and then they'll show you that. You got to go and do it, and just seeing what the 2D team does with that afterward is, I don't know, it's awesome. Like this kind of stuff, I think the 2D animators probably could have handled it because they're working with 2D backgrounds, but just like, it is something that's very common to like blend 2D and 3D, especially in camera compositing. Oh, that is gorgeous. Woo! I'm trying not to pause so much, but like, man. Good lord. Sorry. That's just, wow. Why is she so fine? Wait, what? I keep answering the right and off the mouse. What? Did she just get eaten alive? What the fuck? Okay. There is actually a lot to talk about from this scene, where the disc first connects, right? Wait, was that a MiHoYo logo in the background? Is that what I saw? It is! MiHoYo! Okay. I mean, just first of all, the expressiveness, and you can tell this is a 3D model because of the way her face looks right here, as it's like, these models mostly look great in side profile, but looking at them straight on, you get sort of wonky moments like this. But just the expressiveness that they can achieve through probably just painting a little mouth onto this. I don't think they got that in 3D. I'm pretty sure this model is made in a way that at certain points they can actually choose where, I mean, they might not even need to choose, honestly. They could probably just paint over it before they put it into post-processing, or even after. You never know. But, like, I know a lot of big studios will sort of take these 3D models, especially if they have like cell shading and they have, you know, lines that are shaded into the 3D model, you know, for certain perspectives. You can actually choose where it will stop by just sliding a little mask over it. And that's useful for handling stuff in post. So if you want to have an expressive face that's maybe not as easy to do in 3D, you can actually just do that here in 2D afterward. And then as her face turns, you can sort of see how the mouth, like, it skips a good bit of it. And it works perfectly fine within the frame rate that's established for her character, right? But it is like a studio tactic to sort of do things like this. At least in my experience it is. And also, you can see the background is more so animated on ones than she is, which just adds this amazing fluidity to each shot that I absolutely love. If you don't know the difference between animating on ones and animating on twos, it's just basically every 1 frame something moves, and then every 2 frames something moves. That's basically animating on ones or twos or threes, maybe even fours. I feel like a lot of us have heard that term before through people dissecting the animation of Spider-Verse, but that has been done across multiple mediums before Spider-Verse did it. That's just where it seems most people have actually learned about it, which I'm appreciative of, like, honestly, because, yeah, not a whole lot of people knew animation principles until Spider-Verse came out. There was a music logo. What was that? I can't read that, but that does say music. Something bar, Mio bar? Mayo bar? I don't know. Can I dissect anything from this text? Probably not. This is a bunch of, like, it looks like coding text has gone wrong, which makes sense, right? Good lord, man. I'm sorry. I gotta go back. I got to. The thigh? Okay, yeah, that's cool. This right here? Goodness gracious, bro. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Come on now. Come on now. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And it is working, I'll have you know. Abyss? What is that? What is Abyss? Can you guys explain to me what Abyss is? Is that an actual location in game or no? This is what I mean though by like having a lot to dissect. Whenever you have scenes like this where the character leaves frame. You know, the funny thing is, in most cases, if you pay close attention, these objects are not moving at all, but the illusion is supposed to be given that these objects are being pulled in from the outside. In reality, what they did most likely is they took the objects separately and they rendered them out where the camera panned from one angle and just rotated like this, right? But what they did in post is having a second layer which captured the background, the floor, and everything else, right? They would move that camera across the floor as it's turning, and therefore it sells the illusion that these objects are being pulled in toward the central location rather than just, you know, having a flat turn transition to like see where they're going. It is a very common trick, and if you watch it again, you'll most likely notice that. Like, the objects genuinely don't actually pull in. They're actually, like, the camera is pulling out, right? Versus all the objects just coming together. So it does a turn and a pull out. And that is basically all that's done with the 3D objects that are like in the air. Everything else is basically illusory. Also, I just noticed the resolution of the video has changed. I didn't notice that initially, but the screen resolution has changed from widescreen to more of like a 4:3 resolution. Can we get a replay? Or at least a rewind into this one. Let's see something. That effect is, I mean, it is pretty common, I would say, especially with After Effects. A lot of people are looking for this sort of digital glitch and screen tearing effect. But the way that they handled it here is also like it's blended into the 3D foundation that they have. Like, they can actually rip apart at the 3D model to make these little wireframes. which is something that's really cool. And of course they've scripted it to be at certain parts of the body. They didn't do this for the entire body, but it is very cool that they actually did this in the first place. Whether it's just a texture slapped on top or it's actually the model having bits and pieces of it like taken off, who knows? But I think it's really cool that they decided to stylize it this way. Like, that's just really cool. Just like the inside of her body is entirely wireframes. Or not even the inside of her body, it's like the inside of her textures. Like, it's known to the viewer that she is made of like polys and textures, which is just oh, there's like a slight smile there. Huh. Okay, part 1 has... That's pretty much all the comments I wanted to make about part 1 of this. I'm gonna call it part 1 because this is clearly a transition to like a new scene or a new a new visual plot, maybe.
英傑たちの閉幕は盛大で美しくないといけないの。二人だけだと少し寂しいわね。そうでしょ？愛しい絵で。
That is so cool.
エリー、始めましょう。
Oh, I'm getting chills. What the fuck? Okay, so they brought it into this like, it's like a time capsule of like retro animation, like OVA types. It's so, wow. This is something that is artistically ambitious for sure, and I have a lot of respect for the animators that worked on this and the amount of time that they put in. I'm pretty sure that for 8 minutes of footage, some people did not go home. Which sucks to think about, but like genuinely, they probably slept under their desks trying to get this done because of how beautiful it is.
結局みんなを巻き込むつもりなのね。だからあなたが嫌いなのよ、エリシア。
That is such a smug smile. I love that.
本当は嬉しいくせに。
Wow. And you can see, like, we transition out of this, like, retro afterglow type visual into a more clean style of animation as the scene progresses. Like, right here, it starts to clean itself up. And we're seeing a lot more of the details. Whoa, okay. Why do I recognize his voice? Can anyone tell me who, like, what voice actor that is? Because I don't even know the character's name. Excuse me? Why are they out like that? Excuse me? Why are they out like that? You're a nun, aren't you? What? Okay. Wow. Whew. Wait, hold up. That is beautiful color theory. I will have you know that is amazing. Look at that. The red and the blue come together and you get purple at the top. But like the way that they laid this out is so that your eyes follow that progression with ease. It's not just like, oh, I think it would be cool to have this color, this light be this color and that. No, like I think it's a very deliberate choice here to guide the eyes into the purple or magenta area by using something like orange and blue and red and like all of that, but like they're sort of sequencing it so that it's blue. It's like cool, warm, warm, cool, right? That's just like, it's making your eyes go bing, 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 bing. I love it. I love it. This reminds me of Star Guardian from League of Legends as well because of those little stars of different colors. Are those all gonna be characters? Is that what I'm seeing? Yep, okay, yeah. It's so retro anime to have like this moment where a character gets defeated and then suddenly a friend appears and then they have like the moment of like reuniting where they're all like stars and it's so Sailor Moon, you know what I mean? Wow. That guy right there, that's a fine ass man, not gonna lie. His voice goes crazy. Who is that? Who is that? Okay. That's crazy. Okay, wait. We have a lot to actually break down here, man. Including that wink. That wink was crazy. We need to look at this in detail. So we went from 3D animation to 2D. Like, this is 2D. I can absolutely tell this is 2D. I love how they... Wow. Wow, okay. Yeah. That is 2D because if you look closely, this hand over here, the one that's down, is losing a lot of detail because the center focus is telling you to look up to the right, so they can actually put a lot less detail in those smaller things and just have them move in a believable way. But like even the shading is just a tiny little bit off. You know, it's still like, it's not wrong. The shading is still correct, but there's certain parts that are like, you know, if that hand was actually the focus, it would have been shaded a little bit more detailed. But like, man, this is amazing. Let me real quick. Let's take a look at the. Okay, so yeah, you can see some of like the detail. I would say some of the animation line work here, especially for this bit, was a little bit rough around the hair that's like under, you know, this shoulder as her arm sort of swipes up like that. The hair that's like right here has a little bit of messed up detail in terms of the line work. But I mean, that's kind of what they have to do. They have to keep the lines consistent with however they drew it from the forward facing moment. So it's sort of up to whoever the animation director is to make sure that that doesn't happen. But you can even see like in the metal guard on her bicep here, like there's a smear. There's a sort of like smear and drag motion lines in 2D animation. So this is fully in 2D. If there are any doubts about that, that will tell you for sure. That detail on the top of the gauntlet doesn't even need to be there. That is there for literally one frame, but they actually painted that in. Like that little sigil on the gauntlet that's like on her forearm, it doesn't need to be there at all. They didn't have to paint that in, but they did. Big props to the animators, but that just goes to show you how much time they spent on this. Now, this 2D effects work, oh, this is most replayed as well. I wonder why. Gee, I wonder why. The music here escalates to this beautiful chorus. Okay. Man, oh man, oh man. Oh, all right. So, interesting little things to note. the way that this works, you can actually tell that the glow is done entirely in post-processing because of this building right here on the side. Closest to the camera, off to the right side for us, I believe. I'm not sure because sometimes things are a little bit mirrored, so I'm hoping that I'm saying things right so that you're not looking on the wrong end. But either way, on our right side, this building right here closest to us, at the very top of it, you can see that it has like a little bit of that glow carrying over, but it's actually masked into the building itself, and not so much, like the light doesn't seem to be expanding beyond that, like in the background. It doesn't seem to be expanding beyond that. The glow from this seems to be given from the 3D compositing, like the effects that are around, what's her name? Elysia, I think? But like, just there's a 3D like massive animated sigil in the sky, right? And then you have the 2D effects of like the beam coming down, the shockwave goes out. Probably some of that might actually be 3D, but definitely the flames and all of, like the explosion visuals are all in 2D from what I can tell. Even the lightning effects there, like that's probably done in After Effects or like whatever post-processing editing software they're using. The sparks and lightning, that's all probably just done in post, but you can see like the street wires are like wobbling from, you know, different sides. I don't think that's something that they can simply do in post-processing, or at least I don't think they would want to. Actually, yes, they would, come to think of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everything between these buildings is actually in post-processing. Doesn't exist in the actual 3D realm because the 3D animators don't have to deal with that. It's so much easier to just do it in post-processing. I don't know what the fuck I was on before. Yeah, that's how it's usually done. But man, I mean, wow, these impact frames look gorgeous as well. Look at that. I sound like Gordon Ramsay. Look at that! It's fucking raw! We have... Wow. Wow, if I've ever seen animation that is raw, that is raw, my friend. That is amazing. That is actually amazing. And a clever little thing that they do to bring your eyes to... Because, okay, this impact frame would not entirely make sense if they didn't bring the surrounding environment in. Like, it doesn't, it sort of cascades in, and you get this focus on the very center of the frame, and that lines up perfectly for us to focus on that impact frame just for the split second that it's there. Trust me, it does matter, because this right here is like, yeah. Oh, that's done in, whoa, that's done in traditional art. That is beautiful. Wow. So they did all this 2D animation where they probably handled a good portion of it digitally, but then they also have this traditionally drawn impact frame. Wow. Wow, that is amazing. Oh my god. And then they did like, that's still traditional. They probably used like pink spray paint or something and like graffitied all over it to then break that composition and bring us back to like the digital 2D. That is gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Wow. Yeah, I see why people wanted me to watch this now. This is like, and we're not even, we're halfway into the video. There's still so much more to get through, and I'm sorry I've been pausing so much, but good God. Good God. Even this is just so, this is so clean. Now, an interesting thing to note about this is that this is actually, the way that 2D effects are usually done is, normally, okay, this is unorthodox in many ways. But it's not bad in the way that it's unorthodox. It's just like the way that 2D effects are usually done is that you'll have, basically you'll sketch out like the bone or spline of the 2D animation, right? You'll try to figure out like where's the motion first, and you'll sort of animate that, and you'll be like, okay, now we can add the layers on top of this to like figure out like, you know, where everything is going to move on top of this already existing basis. But what they did here, instead of using line art and then filling that in, they most likely did the same spline thing to figure out where it was going to go, but then they also took a thick brush, like a thick digital brush, and just painted layers. And as they were going along, they sort of just like moved it around, you know, repainted it a little bit. And you can see that in the way that it sort of carries out the animation. Like, this is just very unorthodox, but it's meant to look like a dripping star almost. It's so beautiful, the way that they did this, the way that they stylized it. This isn't something that would be done in line work, most likely, just because I can see where, like, they set, instead of having line work to do it, they just completely decided to use a thick brush, do all the motion of it, and then just have all those layers basically embossed in post-processing. So they could have either, there's a bunch of different ways that you do post-processing. You could actually do it within the art program that you're animating in, and then bring it over to After Effects where it's then post-processed again. When I say post-processing, I don't just mean like once it's done being made. Usually it's like, that is something that's like, you know, you have the raw file that's done being made, and that is post-processed. And then you bring that to the next layer where it's then, you know, meant to fit inside the scene. Now, I don't know if that's how they did this. I genuinely don't know if they did it like that, exactly like that. I don't know that. But just from what I know, the way that 2D animation is usually handled, this is unorthodox in the most beautiful and positive way possible. Also, these flares and stuff are probably entirely painted in 2D as well, unless they have a really good particle simulator. But that looks like... Oh, that fire is gorgeous. Oh my god, whoever did the post-processing needs a raise. Oh my god. Oh. That is visual effects composition of my dreams right there. Goodness. Okay. Now this is where she goes back to 3D. That is genuinely just beautiful. Like, that's gorgeous as fuck. Why is my nose running? I think the video is too beautiful. It's not even running a lot. It just feels like a little bit damp there. I don't like that. That's gross. I need to wash my hands. Okay. And that wink right there, I don't know, man. That's just, that is masterful. That is masterful. Like, whoever's idea that was, yeah, they know what they're doing. Oh my god! You know what? You know what's kind of hilarious? I'm curious to know what it looked like before they did any 2D effects on this. Just because, like, she's flying around, you know, indicating that she's shooting these beams around, but none of it actually exists in 3D. All of that is done in 2D afterward. So I would love to see how funny that might look. Where she's just like going like wee wee, and there's no effects there. That's one of my favorite things to see. Interesting. Was that done in 2D? No, that's 3D. That is 3D composite. Okay, yeah. But the effects are still 2D. Yeah, the effects are still 2D, but they did an amazing job. I mean, granted, the screen wasn't shaking when they were drawing this in. These were all still frames, so they were very much able to track it quite well, and then post-processing makes the screen shake and do all the fancy stuff. A lot of this was probably actually a lot slower as well, where they could just paint like maybe 2 or 3 frames per thing as the object was actually moving. And then they sort of break it down into a lower frame rate in order to match things up a bit better. Now that's just one way that they can do it. I don't know if they do it that way, you know? You just never know. But like, when I say every single studio has their own animation pipeline, they really do. And the way that I've experienced it might be nothing like the way that these team members experienced it. Okay. All right. I think, oh, look at that. Wait. We have another 3D compositing moment because this is a very short frame that is on display. But if you take a look at this frame up close, you will find these hard edge lines along the stage here, along the center stage. You'll find these hard edge lines that usually they would clean up for most 3D productions, but in this case, maybe because of time constraints or whatever, they didn't do that, and also because it's only available for viewing in like, what, 3 frames? Something like that? Okay, it's definitely for longer.
私たち
Whoever this VFX artist is, they need a raise, dude. They need a raise. What the what? What? No, bro. No. You don't just do something like that and not call yourself a master. If you are not if you're not considering yourself a master, listen, if you're out there and you're watching this video, I highly doubt it. There is a 1 in 18 billion chance, 18 trillion, sorry, that you're watching this video. But genuinely, you are a master and you need to acknowledge that, okay? Because this is not something that you would achieve as a standard VFX artist. It's just not. This takes an immense amount of talent and creativity and working up those skills, even your learning skills, to be able to learn how to do this. It's just like how clean it is, how deliberate it is. Knocked it out of the park. Oh! Sorry. I rewinded to the perfect moment. I really did. Oh my god. Wow. Now you see the difference between digital impact frames and traditional ones like the one we saw earlier. These look way cleaner in digital than a traditional one does. But again, the artistic ambition in this video is insane, and I absolutely love it. That's traditional. That one is traditional, so it blends it blends digital impact frames with one traditional frame? Really? Did you need to do all that? Was that necessary? Okay, that's really cool. All these different scenes in like a fractured glass painting, and it sort of burns away. Honestly, okay, that effect is probably the least impressive one out of all of these. If I had to be honest, like even the particles on screen. Ooh, excuse me. That sounded gross. I apologize. Yeah, even the effects on screen and stuff like that in this moment, not all that good. You could actually just get like an After Effects preset and slap that on, and you basically get the same experience. But I mean, considering everything else they did, this is just nitpicking. But I mean, that's part of critique, right? You can't just ignore something just because the rest of it is good. That is gorgeous. Likely what they did here is, I think they genuinely did use a 3D model for this bit. I was gonna say they probably traced over the 3D model using 2D, but no, this looks completely, like this is probably just done in 3D using a very hard light with very easily controllable fall off. And then they did some post-processing to add like the rainbow flare and everything else to this. And all the glow and the radio flares as well coming from whatever light sources are on screen. Like, this is just a beautiful frame. Love it. They did very well on that. Okay, I'm gonna consider that part 2. Oh, is that the end of it? Oh, that's so beautiful.
My name when a tree
okay.
What's that again? Telling a story lost in time.
The way this is composited reminds me of Demon Slayer. Is this from when MiHoYo had the partnership with Ufotable? Because if so, that explains a lot.
The way it ends, never again making a story in dismay. With 0 stars,
wow.
but just one end. How I love to embrace the future breaking.
Man.
Out of shape.
46 minutes. Here we are. Wow, goodness gracious. Nice eyes. Nice eyes, bro. Yeah, those are real nice eyes. So we are 47 minutes into the video. We finally actually got to the end of it, and everything that I had to say about it, I think I've already said. But genuinely, my closing thoughts. I don't know. This is just like this is pinnacle of animation. Although it really puts into English is hard. It really puts into perspective why animated episodes take so much money to make, and yet the animators still don't get paid a whole lot. Because of how much work goes into it and how many people they would need to be able to churn it out week by week. Like I'm talking about animated, series that come out every single week. If you didn't know, they're actually animated week by week in a lot of cases, and they're also voice acted week by week. So they're not actually made before they're released, which is why some episodes look worse than others. And this is something that is mostly done in Japan, I would say. A lot of studios out in, let's say America or something like that, will usually make the entire series before they release it, and that makes the animation the animation industry in America a lot more preemptive. You have to actually predict and project what sales are going to be and how many people are going to watch it, how much revenue you're going to generate. Whereas in Japan, it's just like, if it's not doing well enough, they'll just stop it after a certain amount. Or they'll stop it after a season, because they've already had the script writers go and like revise everything from manga to adapt it to animation and all that. So they probably have all those resources spent in that, and they don't want to just waste it. So they'll just milk it for whatever it's worth, and then they'll finish it after one season. But yeah, it just like, this is, man, it really puts into perspective how much work goes into these, how much work goes into 8 minutes of animation. And people are always talking about, oh, this anime doesn't look so good, and it has 22-minute episodes every single week. Well, now you know why. It's really not easy. It is not easy. At those anime studios, people don't go home for weeks, and they probably live just a block down the street, but they don't go home. They sleep in office, they wake up, they get right back to work. And they sleep probably for like 1 hour, 4 hours, you know, sometimes 30 minutes. They have to take little power naps. It's just so unhealthy. But it is hard to achieve something like this. And big props to the team at Hoyo. Whatever studio they may have outsourced to, I don't know if they did. But if they did, yeah, props to that studio as well. I don't know. All of this is just like, yeah. Yeah. It's just beautiful. Genuinely, this is beautiful. And I don't think that this has enough appreciation. 5 million views, that's not enough. That is not enough. But very well done. Very well done. Man. Alright, I'm not gonna scroll through the comments because I'm not gonna understand what people are talking about. I was hoping that people would be talking about the animation stuff, but they're not. They're talking about the story and plot, so this must be something that's very normal for Honkai for Honkai Impact 3rd. For me, this is something that is above everything else that I've seen from MiHoYo, honestly. This is just, I don't know. It's gorgeous. It is a masterwork of animation, and this is a masterclass waiting to happen. So, yeah, if any animators from that team want to come out and have like an animation class, I would be willing to pay for that, just to see what went into this. That's amazing. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I actually enjoyed watching this a lot, so thank you for the recommendation from this commenter right here. Danny J3636, thank you so much for the recommendation. I really appreciate it because this was an amazing watch. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's it for me for now, and I will see you guys on the next video sometime soon. I don't know. We'll see when. Maybe my beard will be more grown in by that time. You'll probably see a bit of stubble on my face instead of just having this completely bald baby face that ages me down about 8 years. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, take care. Have a good time zone wherever you may be, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.